inspired, get motivated with Maya Akai and the M.A.Y.A. My Ambition, Your Ambition podcast.
Something that I take pride in is trying to be forward thinking, thinking outside the box, challenging myself. And as I challenge myself, hopefully I challenge you.
Find Maya on Twitter and Instagram at Maya_Akai. On Facebook at Maya Akai Presents.
We're going to talk health, wealth, fitness, mental health, financial, lots of different things that can empower you as you seek out the ambition that you're pursuing.
Or get everything Maya at MayaAkai.com.
Namaste, everyone. Welcome to an episode of M.A.Y.A. And considering that I have been M.I.A., not M.A.Y.A., for quite a bit of time, I am excited to be back and actually a little nervous because I haven't podcasted for you guys in a while. And I'm like, I feel like I'm rusty and out of sorts. But either way, a little anxiety is not a bad thing. So, welcome back to M.A.Y.A., My Ambition, Your Ambition. This is the first episode, episode 1 of 2023, titled 2023. That's what's up. Yes, that's what's up. So as you know, as I always say, just in case you are a first-time listener or viewer, or you're a returning listener or viewer, that I like to say that M.A.Y.A., My Ambition, Your Ambition, is a podcast that looks to embrace salient topics related to mental wellness from a fresh and forward-thinking perspective. The focus of the podcast is to pull back that veil of self-doubt and self-sabotage that plagues so many of us in our lives to help you, and as well as me, to identify our ambitions and to harness the motivation that we need to be able to yield that satisfaction and success in our daily lives, not just life, daily lives. If you remember anything from the podcast from last year, and by the way, I loved how everybody, even when I was not front and center and I had a whole bunch going on, literally we're going back because there's more than 63 episodes of M.A.Y.A. And people were going back and listening to some of the episodes. And I said, it's a great way to kind of get caught up because no matter when that episode aired, I guarantee you there was something in one of those episodes you could have gotten something for. So the thing I noticed is that people were frequently still listening to the different episodes. So I appreciate the fact that I could share something that could have value, or maybe you could share it with somebody else. So if you are a first-time listener or viewer, welcome. I will always tell people, buckle up for safety, because occasionally it can be an unexpected bumpy ride. Depending on what the topic is of the podcast, it might kind of draw out something to make you think twice. Remember, this is not personal therapy. This is not something that proclaims to help you to understand. It's to put the ball in motion. Because if nothing else, we learned through COVID and post-COVID that mental wellness was front and center. But we only like to think about mental wellness for some reason when we are in dire straits. And I'm trying to get people to rethink and to normalize it. You should take care of your mental wellness, which covers several domains. If you remember, I told you about this. It covers you emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, socially, professionally. When your mentals, I love saying that, are not right, most things in your life are not on course. And for some reason, people like to neglect their mental wellness until something is wrong. But here's what's interesting. You wouldn't neglect if you had diabetes. You wouldn't neglect if you had high blood pressure. You would take care of those things. Well, you should learn to also take care of your mind the same way. So maybe I may say something that may make you go, things that make you go, maybe, maybe not. But of course, if you're a returning listener or viewer, welcome back. Always thank you for the support. You're familiar with how we do things. I always tell people, grab a pen, paper, because you might want to jot something down. Of course, your beverage of choice. I'm hydrating. I'm doing water today because this probably won't be a full 60 minutes. It may be a shorter show today because it's kind of our intro to 2023 to get reacquainted with each other. But remember the rule one that never has changed, and it always will be the same with this podcast. No matter if this is the first episode for you, great, but feel free to go back and check out those other 63. But of course, you move at your own pace. So if you're somewhere back in episode 25 and you're still progressing through, you work at your own pace because that's the key thing here. And remember, this is something to help you prompt and think, maybe I do need to seek help. It isn't giving the answers. It's helping you to get motivated and focus on things you'd like to do. So it's more motivational more than directional, so to speak. So to join the conversation, because you can, remember, you can put comments on the stream as you're watching. So whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, whatever the case may be, you can type your comment in. I can go to the comment section and then I can share it with everybody because you may say something brilliant that's worth it. Of course, hopefully by now you have subscribed to the YouTube channel. Just search M.A.Y.A. You're going to scroll past a whole bunch of Japanese anime stuff and boom, You'll find me. Okay. Of course, you can find episodes of Maya, the whole 63 of them. Probably the easiest way to get the episodes are just go to the website maya-speaks.com and boom, you can choose your poison on that because you can find episodes on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon Audibles, Spotify. It's pretty much on every podcast platform. All you have to do is to search Maya, My Ambition, Your Ambition. You might have to put in M.A.Y, and boom, all the podcasts are there. So it's on every platform you can find and listen. Probably the easiest way to get right to the pages is go to maya-speaks.com, click on the podcast section, scroll down, pick out your platform, and boom, it's going to take you to my podcast and you don't even have to search. So that's the easy way. Last housekeeping thing. Hopefully by now you are being social with me. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Maya_Akai and Facebook. Maya Speaks to You is how you can get social with me. And like I said, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel as well, Maya Kai. All right. So that's all of our housekeeping stuff. We're going to stay true to form. And it's always about the toolbox. Everything about this show is creating a toolbox for you or things that I share that you can always say, let me go into my Maya toolbox. What tool should I be using to deal with this particular situation that I'm struggling with? So I'm always saying the takeaway from this episode is this, or here's what you should be looking for. So the number one thing that we use every single episode is what? Your emotional intelligence. That is your ability to perceive, control, and evaluate emotions. The key thing is not just yours, but others, which means you also, when you're emotional or your EI is high, you learn to respond to things, which is think, reflect, and then choose how you will respond, speak, or act versus just react, which is something happens and boom, you open your mouth, you let something out, and maybe it's not exactly what you meant to say, but now you got to go do some cleanup work because you reacted versus responding. So those are some big things in the toolbox that will always be in there. So that's a refresher. Like I said, first episode of 2023. This episode, of course, is 2023. Yes, that's what's up. And hopefully everybody kind of started on the right foot. But if you didn't, it's okay. We can get you there. So if you recall, I had something I like to share in my episodes, which would be the overarching kind of model for the year. And all of last year, I said, knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom, which is Aristotle. And it's true. When you are connected to you, you then can connect to others. You can make better decisions when you are your center. Whenever people look for the answer outside themselves, you tend to find what you're not looking for. So understanding you becomes the wisdom that you need to live the life that you choose or you want, or to set the goals and to make them. So that was last year for 2022. What are we using for 2023? We're going to stay in that same vein. I'm liking the ancient philosophers. So René Descartes says, I think, therefore I am. Because mindfulness will be the overarching theme of this entire year. Because mindfulness, it seems like such a simple idea and concept, but the way that you think influences absolutely everything that you do. And a negative thought can take you so deep down the rabbit hole that maybe you can't get out, versus a positive thought in the worst situation can often be the things that can keep your head above water. Mindfulness will be the overarching theme for 2023 and probably going forward. And what better way to kind of personify this in a quote is René Descartes, which is, I think, therefore I am. A simple idea that says the actual generation of thought will be the things that will really help you to move forward and to make better decisions, because thinking is the key of everything you do, and yet we act like it's not. So I'm looking forward to 2023. I said this episode is episode 1. And a couple things, like I said, this is going to be a shorter episode. It's not going to be the full 60 minutes. It's just kind of, hey, let's get reacquainted. Maya's back. But there's some things I want you to start working on. If you're a person who's really serious about making some changes or maintaining changes that you've made, then sometimes just having a little help could be the difference. I will be doing a webinar that will probably be at the end of the month or March about how to weaponize your mind. And I say that in a way to say that when you use the most important tool you have, which is this up here, when you are pensive, the things that you can achieve is amazing, but it requires discipline and it requires really understanding what is the core idea behind what thought really is. So we're going to be breaking it down. Like I said, that's going to be a webinar. It's going to be coming up, like I said, either end of the month or it'll be early March. And it really be like the platform to serve a lot of people that if you're struggling with something and you want to kind of try something new, you want to make sure that you are part of that webinar. Okay, so look at it this way. We're already 1 month and some change into 2023. And what I think is interesting is there are 323 days still left. And I ask people flat out, hey, what's up? What'd you do? How'd you start? And I hope people didn't say resolutions, because resolutions are something that people aren't really good about maintaining. So when you think of it's one down and 11 to go, which means you got 1 month under your belt, what did you do with that first month? Because now you got 323 days left to make a change or an adjustment, or to really just get it together and figure out, what am I doing here? If you feel stuck, if you feel like you can't figure certain things out, if you're still struggling financially, it's time to step back and pay attention. And we're going to have some people on to talk about that. Because remember, mental wellness affects every aspect of your life. So, guess what? When money is an issue and you're financially stressed, it really flows into every other relationship that you have with yourself and others, because money is a sticking point for a lot of people. So, we're going to cover all those domains physically. Hey, how is your physical health? How are you professionally? Are you in a job that you really don't want to be in, but you keep going? What are you doing to change that? There's so many things we're going to unpack in 2023. So the first question is, what did you do with the first month? Did you come in hot? Were you ready to go? Did you know what changes you wanted to make? Were you focused? Were you dedicated? Or are you like some people that says, oh, I'm going to work out, I'm going to lose some weight, and you stuck to it for maybe 2 weeks and you dropped off? Well, my thing is, if your heart isn't in it, you're not going to stick to it. Changes that you want to make are things that legitimately you have identified in your life that you know that you need to do. So in that first month, the key thing you should have been doing is not making resolutions, but identifying the change that you want to see. And if you didn't, that's going to be part of your homework for this particular episode. Is going to be write down things, but we'll get to that a little bit later in the episode, because there's two things you're going to be putting in your toolbox today. And those 10 things, so to speak, will be what we'll talk about. So that's what's up 2023. 1 month down, one to go. And hopefully you used it wisely. So let's talk about, we just said how you started the year. Did you come in hot? Were you ready to go? Or did you kind of limp in? Let's be honest. This is why I tell people, don't overthink the idea of the new year. And the reason I say this is because it's only a 24-hour period where the next year starts. So let's be honest. If you were hurting and struggling in 2022, it wasn't like 2023 happened and all of a sudden it went away. No, it rolled right in there with you. Let's be honest. But we create this unrealistic perspective of what a new year means. And I think we have to stop preparing people for failure. 2022 is coming right into 2023 if you've done nothing to set or make the changes happen. So we have to rethink, think, therefore I am, how we perceive what a new year is. Yes, it's another 365 days to do better, but you're bringing 2022 with you, and you got to figure out what you're unpacking and leaving behind and what's worth bringing forward. And sometimes you might had to have bring some things forward because you might need them to do the work in 2023. So just know, a new year isn't like all of a sudden it's a magic wand and things changes. And we should stop making people think that like resolutions, it's a new year. No, it's called another opportunity. Just like every new day is a new opportunity to do something different. The new year is the same concept. So how did you start the new year? Were you ready to go? Were you complacent? Were you still struggling? Were you in a good place and you're looking to build? Or did you come into 2023 just trying to survive, keep your head above water? Whatever you were attempting to do, the work we do here is to help you to get to where you're trying to be. So, with that being said, one of the things I want you to think about is, what changes are you working on and or maybe maintaining? Maybe you actually had an opportunity to make some changes. And let's be honest, change is never easy, and consistency within change is why most people fail to keep what they want, because most changes require, they always say you could change a habit in 21 days. Let's be honest. If you can maintain something for 21 days, you're actually doing pretty good. But it's longer than that if it's a big sweeping change. Like, let's just say you're changing the way that you spend money. Well, let's be honest. If you spent a lifetime misappropriating your funds, it doesn't just change without discipline and consistency. So what are you working on? And if you already started something, have you been able to maintain it, or have you fell off? So those are some things when we start making our list of things that we want you to focus on, that I truly want you to think about is, what changes did you really put forth the effort into, and have you been able to maintain them? And if not, the question is why? Because you got to dig deep where you really want answers. Okay, something else. Here's where you start working on our two toolbox things. The two things you're taking from the show today. The first one, I talked about it a little bit when I said, I think, therefore I am. Mindfulness. The way you think. It's just that simple. If you are absolutely mentaled with riddle, like just negativity, if you're catastrophizing things, if you're an absolute thinker, it's black or it's white. There's all these different things we talk about with negative cognition, and actually that'll be an episode that we can jump into in talking about ways that we can actually really negatively kind of build a lot of narratives for ourselves that are hard to dig our way out of. A lot of people do catastrophizing, which is you take one simple event and you extrapolate a million ways something could go wrong. Like I said, people who are absolute thinkers, like it's either black or white, they struggle with the whole gray area. Well, we do know everything isn't always black or white, and there's often gray and or the mental dark matter that exists that you have to be willing to acknowledge in your thinking. So mindfulness is a layered process of you become very aware of how you think about yourself, others, situations, whatever the struggle is. And being mindful doesn't mean you sugarcoat things either. It means you're like legitimately honest with the situation as it stands. And you sit there and you do the work and you say, here are the things I need to work on and I need to change. This is where my focus needs to be. So being mindful is you take the time to process the event, situation, whatever it is, to be able to respond in a way that is more conducive to the outcome you're looking for. Remember, one of the things I said a lot throughout 2022 was intentions and outcomes are two different things. You can intend for one thing to be the outcome, but there could be outside variables that could change what an outcome is. And one of the best sayings I came across, and actually it was this year, and I love it, is like, I don't lose. Either I win or I learn something. See, that's mindfulness. People often, when something doesn't go their way, they instantly become negative. I'm a loser. This is bad. Okay, maybe the situation wasn't the outcome that you wanted, but what did you learn from it? What was the takeaway that you can build on? How can you now change that situation to be more advantageous for you? You should never, ever just sit and be negative about something. Now, if you remember from one of the episodes, I'm not even sure which one it is, I talked about everybody has the right to do what I call emotionally and mentally marinating in a situation. I feel you need to feel the full range of emotion. Negativity has a purpose. So when something doesn't sit right with you, when something just really hits you the wrong way, I want you to sit in it and figure out why that is. You can be angry, you can be upset, you can, just be really super pissed off, you can be hurt, you can feel vulnerable, whatever it is, whatever feeling that obviously isn't the positive side of what you want, whatever that feeling that gets elicited from a situation. I then need you to stop and let that emotion sit. And then I need you to be reflective, be pensive, be mindful, and say to yourself, why did that make me angry? Like, why did I respond that way? Like, why did it trigger me? Because, often when you really dismantle things that make you angry or upset or hurt or makes you feel vulnerable, you'll find there's often at the core of the meaning is that it says something of extreme value to you. People that we care about deeply have a way of impacting us and can make us respond in ways that we don't want them to. But because of the emotion that's attached to them, we often will respond in ways that were hurt because I didn't expect that of you. I expected more of you. I didn't think you could do that to me. So understand, you always have to get to the root cause of what is anger, hurt, or vulnerability, and you must pinpoint that because see, this is the learning piece. Because if you choose to maintain a connective point with that person or a relationship, you need to understand the power that you surrender to somebody else over your emotional and mental well-being. And then you need to ask yourself, am I surrendering this much power to somebody who can barely maintain themselves? So why would I expect for them to actually be able to maintain me? See, these are the hard questions. This is where mindfulness steps in, and you have to learn to accept your own ability to perform certain things, as well as your expectation of others. So if you're asking someone to do something for you that you really know is not in their mental capacity, then the disappointment or the outcome is going to be exactly what it should be, which is it's not going to be what you expect or what you want because that person doesn't have the ability to give you what you need. See, this is where we fall short, always expecting someone to come in and fix something. I always make a running joke. I've had in numerous situations, I'm going to say it because I love the saying, but it's a perfect description, where I have been Captain Save-A-Ho for a whole bunch of people. Not being funny. Yes, I am. And I came to realize in my last time in doing it, I knew exactly what I was doing, and I expected more of them than they expected of themselves. The outcome was exactly as it should have been. I was the one who had the wrong expectation and expected a different trajectory or a path to be walked of someone who was not prepared to travel that road. This is mindfulness. It is breaking down when you feel disappointed, hurt, angry, whatever. It's letting the emotion sit and then asking the question, why did it bother me like that? And really pulling it apart. Mindfulness in the toolbox. It's going to be out every show with EI, emotional intelligence, and mindfulness is going to always like, hey guys, break out your toolbox and let's take this out. The second tool of the show, manifestation, manifesting, learning to be specific and actionable about things that you want. See, this is where the mindfulness piece helps you to begin to understand what you're looking for. So, as I said, I want people, if you're struggling or don't know and you're looking for direction, and I get it, this isn't always easy. One of the things that to help you to begin to get some clarity is I want you to write down 10 things this year. Now, it doesn't mean everything's going to happen that you would like to see happen. Manifest. This becomes your call to action. Now, I'm not saying I want you to write down 10 things and then just think they're going to happen, because there's some work behind this that you have to do. I want for you to write down 10 things. The order of importance does not matter to me. This is 10 things you'd like to happen. And each day when you wake, because I want people to learn to allow your mind to settle as you wake, because a sleeping mind is often doing something different than a waking mind is. And most people don't realize, if you're a dreamer, you might know that. If you don't dream, you'd be like, I don't know, because I don't recall ever dreaming anything. But a waking mind has a whole different function than your sleeping mind. So I like for people, one practice I want you to get into with mindfulness, because mindfulness isn't just about meditation, even though it can be a good thing. Meditation can really be a way to align yourself mentally and emotionally. But when you wake, I want you to open your eyes and just sit at peace for a couple minutes. Just don't jump. Just don't get out of bed immediately and start doing things. Create a little time for you to wake into this next day that could be filled for blessings and opportunities if you let it be so. So I want you to wake, shake your mind, then get up. When you write down your 10 things, I want you to put them in a place that you can actually review them every single day. Sometimes it might be the mirror in your bathroom. Maybe it's a wall next to a door. And I want you to stop and I want you to look at that list and I want you to say, in 2023, these are the things that I want to manifest. I want to maybe have a new job. I want to start school, whatever it is that you want. If your goal is to make more money, okay, you got to speak it into existence and then make a plan. One of the things I always say to people that I think is interesting, and it's pure fact, blessings are meant to be worked for. God blesses people. The universe blesses people, whatever your divine intervention is. If you don't have one, that's okay too, with the opportunity to achieve things. But we have to be willing to put into the work. Sometimes people think that something magical is going to fall from the sky, and it doesn't work that way, because you getting a new job might mean that you have to go looking, or an opportunity might drop in your lap and you have to be ready for it. So put into speaking into existence things that you want to see happen. Manifest it. 10 things. Mirror, door, before you do anything else in your day, look at that list and say, today is another day for me to manifest these opportunities, and read them out loud. I want to do this. I want to do that. I need to do this. I need to do that. Be consistent. It's being specific and it's being actionable. It's your call to action. And then you don't forget the things that you have set forward for yourself to do. And some of those things on that list may require that you have a plan to make it happen. That's okay, because you're holding yourself accountable for the things that you say that you want. This is episode number 1 of 2023 of M.A.Y.A. Think about that. 2023, that's what's up. We're here. You got 323 days to figure some things out that maybe you hadn't considered. And we're not doing resolutions. We're doing actionable things that you can make happen. And mindfulness and manifestation is part of your tools that you're going to have. Keeping yourself focused. If the word manifestation kind of freaks you out a bit, because some people, don't like words like that, then just say, this is extreme goal setting. If that works better for you. Extreme goal setting. For my people who kind of have that kind of energy and spiritual nature, then you're perfectly okay with us saying manifest it, because that's okay. Hey, don't let language or rhetoric be your hang up for achieving what it is you have put your eyes on the prize. Don't let words be the thing that gets you caught up and not achieving those things. So, last thought for this show, like I said, this might run only 30 minutes. It's going to be half a show because we're going to break things apart in the next episode about mindfulness and those 10 things. And, we'll go on from there and how negative cognition can take you off your task. We'll go into deep in talking about negative cognition and all the ways that people self-sabotage or get themselves off track by just the way they think about something. So get ready for spring cleaning. So if you're stepping into this episode with me and you have not really reflected on how you can change what you want to see differ this year versus last year or the year before, okay, so now you can do some self-reflection. Spring cleaning means, what is in my life that is taking up time, energy, and resources, but giving no return on investment? I always tell people that we have what's called an emotional bank. And your emotional bank either gets withdrawn or deposits. So the thing is, we often will withdraw time, energy, and emotion to help people that we care about to achieve a goal. But one of the things you have to learn to strike a balance with is understanding everything can't be a withdrawal with no deposit. You must find ways to deposit within your life things that matter, things that make a difference, things that make you happy, things that make you smile. And the thing about it is, it doesn't even have to be big things. A lot of times people think in big sweeping ideas. And I keep saying this show is about daily living. It isn't about the big idea, because when you accomplish things at a small level, they become cumulative and they become big things. From little things come big things. That's just how it is. And sometimes people lose sight because they get lofty in their long-term goals, not understanding that your short-term goals should be the very thing that helps you to get there. That's your roadmap. Your long-term goal is a roadmap. Those short-term goals are the destination. It's the pinpoints. It's the pin drops that gets you there. It's understanding when you're traveling down that road and you see an exit, to look at that exit and say, okay, so an example of when you're traveling down your road, and sometimes you have to learn how to be, this is stuff that's in the toolbox already, selfish versus selfless. In the journey to become the best version of yourself, to reach, being authentic and having autonomy, you have to learn how to say no to people. There's an episode about that, saying no to people. And that's called being selfish. Because when you're doing the you work, sometimes you don't have enough to give other people. And that you will deplete your emotional bank and be destitute emotionally and mentally and just wiped out and fatigued and feeling stuck. And people will keep trying to take from you when you have nothing left to give. And this is what people have to understand. At times when you're doing the work, you have to be willing to be selfish and say, I can't do this for you right now because I'm doing some work for me. And even though I want to be there for you, I will keep you in my prayers. I wish I could have your back, but right now I'm doing something that's really important to me. And I got to stay focused on this. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. If you tell somebody that and they get an attitude with you about saying you're doing some you work, that tells you a lot about that person. If somebody asks you to do something that you fully cannot do, please stop committing to things, because see, that's manifesting the wrong thing. Overcommitting to things that you really can't do. And again, you're draining your emotional bank. So you need to learn to tell people what you can do versus what they want you to do. So if someone comes and says, I'll just give a simple example. Hey, Maya, can I borrow $200? Let's be honest. If all I had was 25 to really be able to offer, I'm going to say, you know something? I don't have that, but I can give you this. And again, if someone gets an attitude with you about it, then keep your $25 and keep it moving. Because I've told you what I can do. And I'm not going to put myself in a difficult position trying to help you to get out of a position that you probably dug and jumped in that hole intentionally. And then all of a sudden you want to get out of. A lot of people make a lot of mistakes and want other people to fix that for them. Stop doing it. Help people to help themselves is the best way for people to become self-sufficient, opposed to people always doing things for them. So spring cleaning is about who is in your life that is that energy vampire that's always taking but never giving. Never present, but always wanting something. You need to create boundaries with people like that. By the way, Toolbox, the boundaries. There's episodes about boundaries and comfort zones. Go back, check out Maya-speaks.com. Go to the podcast section. Click on your platform, preference choice. There's Spotify, iTunes, Apple, Google, iHeartRadio. They're all on there. Go ahead and take your pick of the poison of what episode you want to listen to, because there's a lot on there, and usually with most people they're spot on. They're spot on. Hello, welcome to the show, Monica Gavin. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate. Thanks. But it's really important to understand that you have to create boundaries with people. And anybody who gets mad about your boundary, again, do they really have your best interest in heart? And sometimes we don't agree about things. Like you may feel someone's boundary is too much, but if that's what they need to find peace and civility in their life, then respect their boundaries, because the key word is it's their boundary and not yours. And there's reciprocity on that. So there's work to be done when you talk about mindfulness and manifestation. That's the key thing. Oh, yes. We're going to have a whole conversation at some point in an episode about people who are narcissistic and also reactive abuse. Something that most people don't know they've actually been victim to their entire life is reactive abusers. And often people who are narcissistic in nature are those types of people. Yes, they suck the air right out of you. That's how it works. But when you are mindful and when you begin to manifest, you come to understand purpose for yourself. And my purpose and passion may not align with yours, and it's okay, because what's the key word? It's mine. It's not yours. And people shouldn't be trying to pick up space and take what is yours to make it theirs. Tell people to go get their own stuff. And that's not being mean. It's just being honest. So, spring cleaning. Start doing an inventory of your relationships. Evaluate who is depositing in my emotional bank. Who makes me smile? Who makes me happy? Who supports me? Who's there for me? And sometimes people may fall short. I mean, they may not know you need them, especially if you don't tell them that, open your mouth, closed mouths don't get fed. So don't expect people to read your mind and know if you need help. If you need help, you need to ask for it. Episode about creating your emotional life raft and understanding who should be in that boat with you is so important. It's one of those 63 episodes back there, but it's important to understand that you must create a balance in your life, that you don't have people that constantly take but never give. So spring cleaning, I want you to inventory your relationships and ask yourself, are they added value or are they constantly subtracting something from me, causing me anxiety, making me feel sad or depressed, making me angry, whatever the case may be. If I'm seeing a whole bunch of pros, cons, and there's more cons about that relationship than there's pros, you might want to evaluate why you're maintaining it. And I'm going to call it out. I don't even care if you're related to somebody. If they're doing too much, if they're doing the most, and that most is a detriment to you, I don't care. I know they said blood is thicker than water, but I'm sorry. Don't allow yourself to be abused and misused because you're related to somebody. Because if someone loves you, they should know better. And it shouldn't be a detriment. And it's called boundaries and space. But that's another episode. We'll get to that. 2023 is going to be full of tons of mindful things. All those domains, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially, professionally, socially. These are all domains that mental wellness overarch, because your mind is what drives your decisions. I think, therefore, I am. All right, everybody, this has been episode 1 of M.A.Y.A, My Ambition, Your Ambition. 2023, that's what's up. We got 323 days to make a change, to make a difference. It's going to start with being mindful, responding and not reacting. 2, manifesting. And for those people who hate that word, goal setting. And then committing to those goals every day, looking at those goals and reminding yourself the path that you have chose to walk, and to not step off of it because someone is trying to be a detractor. Tools today: mindfulness, manifestation, aka goal setting, those people who don't like those kind of things. All right, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. I've been gone for a while. I appreciate the people who actually came back and said, "M.A.Y.A, when are you coming back with your your podcast? It's been a while since, you've done something." I'm like, you're right. I've been highly distracted, which means I shouldn't devote something or time to something if I'm distracted. But now I'm on a better path, that I'm doing things. As you see, actually today I'm in my office. Look at that. Things have changed quite a bit. So thank you for listening to this episode. As I said, the whole purpose of this podcast is to help you identify your ambition and harness the motivation to help you acquire that success and satisfaction you seek in your everyday life. Remember, you can find this episode and every other episode on Apple, iTunes, Google, Spotify, iHeartRadio, you name it, it's there. But the easy way is just go to maya-speaks.com and you can click on the podcast section, and then you can actually click right there on your podcast preference of choice, and it'll take you right to my page, and you can do all that and just listen. 63 episodes. Browse through them. You might find something useful. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube page. It's M.A.Y.A. Type that in, scroll down once you get past all the Japanese anime. There I am. So make sure you subscribe and like my page. Support, share, tell people about it. Maybe you don't need something from it, but somebody else might get something from this. So until next time, I love saying this. This is one thing that's not going to change. I'm going to stick with this because I really feel that it has deep meaning. And hopefully people will actually begin to really think about some of the things I say and take mental wellness seriously and not wait till they're at their breaking point before they do something. So the saying, which happens to be a Pearl Jam song from their last album, and it says, "Remember your present becomes your past and your future is no more." Think about that. That's mindfulness. So make the most, everybody, of every day, because every day counts about opportunity to do better, to grow, and to receive your blessings. So everybody, stay safe, keep being amazing, and I'll see you maybe in another week. I haven't decided the frequency of the podcast yet. I'm still working on that piece, but I'm getting there. But I appreciate everybody from tuning in and listening to the show. All right, that's it for this episode. I will see you a week or two, give or take. But in the meantime, everybody, if you're here in Chicago, it's beautiful weather. Enjoy it. Ciao.
Whether you're on the go or listening on your cell phone, tablet, or laptop, you can find the show in the iTunes, Google, and iHeartRadio platforms.
With all due respect, I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
Just search M.A.Y.A, My Ambition, Your Ambition, and get ready to be inspired and motivated to harness your ambition.